Have you ever felt that a single word, look, or gesture was enough to rob you peace? As if someone squeezed a button invisible inside you, and suddenly you were reacting angrily, hurt, unbalanced. But what if I told you that the true power is not in what the other does, but in as you decide to answer? Today I'm going to reveal one of the most transformative teachings of the Buddhism, the art of not being provoked, an understanding that not only protects you, but it frees you. Because when you stop reacting, you start living from the consciousness, no, from the ego. And if this message is already resonating with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the little bell. This video is more than information. It is a spiritual medicine for those who no longer want to be slaves to the other people's emotions. Let's get started. In the paths dusty of the ancient India, where the wisdom is, he conveyed not with shouts, but with silence and metaphors. The Buddha brought together his disciples under the shadow of a tree. One of them, deeply worried, asked with insistence, "Master, yes, someone offends me. I should not look for it, justice. I must not know who was," and by that it did. So the Buddha told this story. "A man, I was walking through the forest when suddenly it was hit by an arrow. He fell to the ground with the wounded chest, the breathing, the pain crossing his body like slow fire. But instead of asking for help, he started to ask questions. Who shot this arrow? Was it from bamboo or sandalwood? Did it have eagle or peacock feathers? The one who, whether he threw it high or low, warrior or hunter?" The man demanded answers. "I wanted understand. I wanted justice." So the Buddha paused and said with serenity, "But if you don't pull out the arrow, you will die. The cause matters less than the poison that you consumes, and so it happens with the provocation. It is not the external gesture that is most I don't know. That's what we decided to maintain internally. Every word hurtful, every look loaded with judgment, every attitude that we feel is unfair is an arrow. But the true suffering begins when we don't let go, when we continue wondering why it did, what wanted to say, how could make me that. We forget about the most urgent things. Heal, free ourselves. Provocation is not what is thrown at you, is the choosing to stay trapped in she. The oldest freedom is not doing what you want, is not to react to what others they do. And this in Buddhism is train. Don't pretend, practice. Let's see the beginning essential for grasp this teaching transformative. Teaching 1, everything that provokes you inhabits. In a path of the self-knowledge and spiritual practice. One of the truths more revealing is that nothing external has true power over us, except for what already lives within. When someone hurts us with a word, a gesture, or an attitude, we tend to blame the other for our pain. However, if we look closely attention, we will discover that the true origin of the suffering is not outside, but within us. Provocation only hurts when finds an echo in an internal wound. That is, if someone tells you something offensive and it affects you deeply, it's not so much because of the truthfulness or the malice of his words, but because inside you there is an insecurity, a unresolved experience, I remember that still, no has healed, the emotional reaction. It is then a valuable sign, a wake-up call from your world inside. The wise, those who have dedicated their life to know itself themselves, no react to the provocation, no because they are cold or indifferent, but because they have understood that every emotion strong is an opportunity to heal. They observe without judge. I don't know rush to respond, but rather they ask, what part of me has been touched by this? Why? This to me affects. What wound is asking attention? Instead of projecting the blame towards outside, redirect the look towards inside. Instead of defending themselves, they listen. Instead of attacking, they breathe. Thus, each encounter difficult becomes a teacher, each inconvenience in a mirror, and every person who makes us uncomfortable in an opportunity to grow. The real one, emotional freedom, is not there in preventing the others hurt us, but in learning to heal what is inside of us allows those wounds are open. Only when we have worked in our own shadows we can walk through world without being dragged by the reactivity. So, the words, they no longer hurt. Provocations no longer alter, and the silence becomes in a way deep understanding, because in the background, everything that we causes us to live and everything that surrounds us inhabits can be healed. Lesson 2. The answer is no. Weakness is mastery. We live in a culture where it is valued the speed with the one that is answered, where the one who does not, he leaves, is admired, and where put in your place to someone is synonymous of strength. In debates, on social networks, in everyday discussions, it seems that that is silent loses, and that silence is a sign of weakness. But this view is not universal. Since the perspective of the Buddhist philosophy, that automatic reaction is not strength, is disconnection. The one who reacts loses, does not lose not in front of the other, but in front of oneself same. When someone offends us, we contradicts or challenges us. Easier is to return the word, raise your tone, or defend the ego. But that reaction immediate arises from the mind conditioned, from the emotion no observed, from the impulse. And act from the impulse is precisely what contrary to acting from the awareness. Mastering your response is not keeping quiet. Fear is to speak from presence. It is give you a sacred space between the stimulus and the reaction. In that space can choose. You can observe emotions being stirred, what thoughts arise, what part of your ego feels attacked, and from there can decide how whether to act or whether just let go. The real one master's degree is not in have the last word, but in know need it. It is not in impose view, but in understand that there is nothing to defend when you are at peace with yourself. The who dominates his answer does not submit, releases. This attitude is not passivity. It is not let yourself be trampled on or resign oneself. It is the highest expression of self-control, of the wisdom, of the domain of karma. Because every time you choose not to react from the ego, you are cutting a chain of cause and effect that would keep you trapped in a cycle of conflict and suffering. Reply with awareness is sowing peace instead of war. It's about building bridges instead of walls. It is choosing the compassion above the pride. In a world that screams, the silence of wise is heard louder. In a world who reacts, who responds from the calm shines like a beacon. So don't be afraid to look weak for it to remain silent or to choose the serenity. On the contrary, that is where your birth is born. True force. Because in the moment you can look at the other without stop seeing your interior, you have conquered something much more valuable than a discussion. You have conquered your freedom. Teaching 3. Nobody makes you angry. You get angry. This is one of the more teachings challenging and at the same time, more time liberators of the Buddhist path. No one tells you gets angry. You get angry. At first, it sounds harsh, unfair even. How come I only get angry if was he other who yelled at me or offended me or betrayed? And yes, it is true that there are external gestures that hurt, words that wound, actions that disconcert. But the Buddha did not speak of denying the reality. He spoke of transcending it. Anger is not in what happens, is in as you interpret it, how it you absorb, how it you hold. It's not a guilt, it's a power. When you understand that no one has a control of your peace, you begin to live differently manner. You start without I hate it because I no longer. You need react from the wound. You learn to listen without absorbing, because you know what the other says. Speak more of your state than of the yours. You start breathing before acting, because the awareness will replace the impulse, and that is inner freedom. Anger does not arise from another, arises in you. The other may be the trigger, but you decide whether you squeeze the emotional trigger or you lower your weapon judgment. When someone provokes you and you manage not to, reacting is not weakness. It is mastery emotional. It's like watching a storm from a sacred cave. You feel the noise, but it doesn't get you wet. In the Buddhist practice, anger is considered one of the 3 poisons of the mind, together with the greed and the ignorance. And the antidote is not to repress it, is to observe it, to understand it, dissolve it from within. Because when anger does not find fuel inside you, it just turn off. Nobody controls you unless you deliver the reins. This teaching does not. It's to make you feel bad. It's to empower you. It tells you, you can choose. Choosing peace over drama. Choosing clarity instead of reaction. Choose wisdom instead of noise. And that's it. Wake up. Music teaching 4. The provocation is teacher. There are people who come into our lives and they seem have a gift of touching our most sensitive points. Sometimes it is a look. Others, sometimes an attitude. A criticism. A gesture of indifference. And without give us, something is activated within us. Pain, anger, sadness, insecurity. But Buddhism invites us to see more there from the impulse. To stop now, ask ourselves with compassion, what part of me is being touched? That wound ancient is manifesting here. Because although it seems it, on the contrary, that person is not your enemy. He is your teacher. Provocation is not an offense, it is a sign that something within you still asks attention, healing, understanding. It is not easy to see the world. The ego prefers to blame, reject, defend oneself. But the soul, the awakened soul question, what can I learn from this? Any Buddhist path is said to be others are our mirrors. They do not reflect exactly what we are, but yes, which still we must look. When someone active in you an emotion intense, it's not just because of what she did. It's because it's somehow connected with something unresolved inside you. And that's not, it's bad. It's an opportunity, a called, a master disguised as chaos. So the next time something strikes you, bother, breathe. Don't run away from the emotion. Feel it. Observe what comes to you. Shows not to react, but to reveal what is still needs your light. As he said, a Zen master, the enemy is not whoever sees you, but whoever teaches you without want. When you look like that he conflict something change. Already you don't chase yourself for what you feel. You no longer run away from the uncomfortable, and little by little you transform your wounds in understanding. And that is the true spiritual alchemy. Teaching 5. Breathing is resisting ego. In the moment someone touches you provokes, everything inside you wants react. Your body tenses, your thoughts race, your words, they are loaded with fire. It is the ego wanting respond, defend, win, but, right there, in that sacred second between the stimulus and your response, you have a silent, immense power, transformer. Breathing is not just a biological act, it's a spiritual act. When you choose breathe before reacting, you are saying without words, I will not give in my peace to this moment. My calm is worth more than a discussion. I don't need have reason if I lose my center. The Buddha taught that the mind is like a restless monkey, jumps from thought to thought in thought, of emotion in emotion. But with a deep breath, you can invite him to sit, to look, to stay in silence. Breathing in the face of provocation is not. It means that you pass what happens. It means that you decide how act. No, your wounded ego. Every inhalation is a pause, each exhalation a form of release. And in that subtle space that you create, there is something miraculous about breathing. Freedom from being dragged by the old impulse. The next time you feel like something is wrong, with you light up inside, don't answer back immediate. Breathe. Do it 3 times. Do it with intention, and you will see that you are at war. You are in yourself. Because breathing consciously is the most silent way of disarming the ego. And do it. You take the control not of the situation, but of your inner world. That's the one true spiritual domain. Teaching 6. Whoever provokes is asking for peace from his pain. There are people who seem live lists to attack. A word is enough, a gesture, a difference, and they launch criticism, sarcasms, humiliations. But when you look closely, eyes of the soul, you understand something very deep. Nobody were from peace, only seer from the wound. Whoever provokes, shouts, or manipulates, in reality is not expressing power. It is manifesting lack, a empty no resolved, an internal chaos that seeks project toward outside. Sometimes contempt is a mask for the insecurity, sarcasm, a defense against him, fear, and constant criticism. A silent scream from someone who doesn't know how to ask for help. In Buddhism invites us not to take offenses in a personal way, because in the most cases are not about you, are about the other. As he taught the Buddha, the hate it doesn't turn off with hate, only love dissolves. This it is an eternal law. When someone tries to provoke you, remember this. You are seeing his behavior, but not his history. No, did you know pain inhabits it? What you they taught of love. What battles are losing inside while pretending have he control. And you from your awareness can choose something different. Not to respond with more pain. Don't stay to receive what you don't deserve, but neither contaminate you with its poison. The most compassionate act is sometimes not correct, neither teach nor face. It is just don't absorb. Because understanding he pain not foreign means justify it. But yes, you frees you from carrying it as your own. And when you choose to answer from the compassion or even from silence, you are not only by protecting your peace, you are sowing other possibility in the world. A possibility where love is not said, it is practiced even in the shadow. Teaching 7. Take care of your aura like a garden. Imagine your energy as a garden sacred, a living, delicate space, full of inner beauty, but also vulnerable to those who they enter without consciousness. Your aura, that subtle field that it surrounds you, it's not just a part of you, is the reflection of your spiritual state, emotional and mental. And just as not you would let anyone walk with shoes dirty on a temple, neither you should allow anyone access without respect for your inner world. In modern life, many people they look for energy foreign to support itself. No, always consciously. But when someone provokes, manipulates, or pushes you to react, you are not looking for truth, is looking for energy food. Because every time you react from the anger, guilt, or judgment, you are delivering a piece of your energy to who least deserves it. Taking care of your aura is not, it is selfishness, it is applied spirituality. In the Eastern wisdom is taught to us that protecting the energy field is so important as taking care of the body or the mind. It is done through silence, the conscious choice of the breathing, the meditation, and also of the limits. And it is that a love limit also a blessing. When you say not with firmness and peace, you are not moving away to the others, you are getting closer to you. Remember this, not everyone deserves it. Know you're calm. Not everyone has made hijab internal to live together with your light, and not everyone will know how to take care of the energy that it took you years in purifying. Therefore, do not argue with who alone wants to steal your center. Don't respond from where you don't want to vibrate again. Do not open yourself to those who already have shown that they don't know hold. Neither his own garden. You are here to bloom, and a garden. It does not open to chaos. It opens to sun, to the rain, to whom arrives with respect and gratitude. Teaching 8. When you don't react, the karma stops. In the Buddhist worldview, each action, word, and thought generates a seed. To that we call karma, the law universal cause and effect. What you do, even what you think, come back sooner or later. But there is something even more powerful than act. Good. Go. Don't react from the ego. Because every time someone provokes you and you answer from the pride, anger, or the desire to have reason, you are not solving the conflict. You are feeding the cycle. That cycle of action-reaction is converts on a wheel that turns without end, where the pain multiplies and the soul is exhausted. But when you choose silence conscious, when you breathe and observe before answering, when loose the need to defend yourself or return the wounded, you do something revolutionary. You stop karma. And so, in spiritual terms, it is alchemy. Not reacting is not weakness. It is not resignation. It is not letting others being walked over is wisdom active. It is elevated consciousness. It is transform an emotion destructive in silent light. In the teachings it is said of the Buddha that the trained mind is like a lake serene. Although fall stones, the waters soon return to calm, not by repression but by understanding, because you know that the pain of the another is not yours, because you have understood that peace interior is worth more than any victory outside, because you no longer need react, because you are no longer here reacting to your wounds. So the next time someone try to drag you into your storm, choose be ocean, breathe, observe, be silent if necessary, and remember, when you don't react, karma runs out fuel and the cycle dissolves. That not only heals your present, but also free your future. Teaching 9. Your silence transforms more than 1,000 words. There is a kind of presence that does not needs raise. The voice does not seek convince. He doesn't want to have the reason. And however, when you enter a room, something changes. It is the presence of the wise, of the soul at peace, of whom already does not react, because he has understood that his silence is medicine. In the Buddhist tradition says that the true silence is not the absence of words, is presence without ego. It is the calm that comes from having crossed many storms and not having sunken in none. When you choose not to react to the provocation, when you don't fall in the trap of the conflict, neither in the game of the ego that looking for a fight, you're not evading. You're transcending because you understand that your peace is not a luxury. It is an act of self-care spiritual. And the most beautiful thing is this: that silence, that calm, has the effect expansive, transforms without impose, radiates without speaking, makes you think without need to argue. In the Zen monasteries, many masters, they correct their disciples with just one look, with a gesture, with a cup served without words. Because when the energy is aligned, no one needs explanations. The truth is felt, it is contagious, it converts an example. So when someone tries to drag you into conflict, remember that your silence is a conscious choice. It's not fear, it's not weakness, it's wisdom active. Not everything deserves a response. Not everything deserves defense. Sometimes the elderly act of power is to look with compassion and guard silence. And that silence not only heals you to you, it is a peace offering for a world that screams without hear. Music. Lesson 10. The teacher is not who teaches, is the one who does not react. In his spiritual path has been given to us made believe that the teacher is the one who most speaks, who knows more, who guides more. But Buddhism reveals something much to us. More subtle. The true master is not the who teaches, is the one who does not react. Because awakening is not measured by the books you read, nor by the concepts that you can explain, but by your ability to stay present when everything inside you screams to explode, can keep you calm when you provoke. You can take a deep breath when someone seeks to drag you into conflict. You can see the wound of the other without convert it in your wound. There, right there, it starts. The true master's degree. The wise man does not react, not because he does not feel, but choose. Choose not hurt. Choose not to feed the cycle of pain. Choose the compassion above ego. The teacher knows that he does not need prove nothing because already had transcended the inner battle. He doesn't seek have reason, does not need impose itself. Its power is in his equanimity, his teaching, in his silent example. In ancient texts tell us that Buddha was insulted by a man full of rage. The Buddha, in silence, only looked. When the man finished, Buddha told him, said, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't it you accept, who belongs he gift?" The man he replied, "To the one who offered." Then, he said, the Buddha, "The same occurs with your anger. I accept. Continue being yours." That's right. The teacher doesn't let yourself be dragged by the fire foreign. No, allows external chaos to stir its internal ocean, and that is the deeper teaching. Wisdom is not in what you express, but in what you choose not to upload. So now you know it. The true teacher does not react because has learned to observe his mind before to act, because it has understood that his energy is sacred and not everything is worth it. Answer. And you can cultivate that peace, but it is not enough. Understand it. You have to feel it, integrate it, anchor it within you. That's why now I want to invite you to close the eyes a moment, to take away the attention towards your breathing, and repeat with me these words that are not only statements, are seeds of power spiritual that can transform your way of inhabiting the world. Close your eyes, take a deep breath and repeat with the heart open. I choose to respond with wisdom. I am not my reaction. I am the awareness who watches her. Nobody has the power to take away from me peace that I grow inside. My silence is strength. My calm is my protection. Feel how each statement not only repeat in your mind, but it begins to vibrate in your energy. They are more than words. They are reminders of who you are when you are not reacting, but inhabiting your center. And from that center, from that inner calm that already you are growing, today you have remembered something profound. Nobody can provoke you if you don't give him that permission. Your peace is not negotiable. Your energy is sacred, and your presence when is rooted in the inner silence is impenetrable. If this message touched something in you, go for it. Share this video with someone that needs to reconnect with its center and subscribe to the channel. We're still here, walking together among Zen stories, ancestral wisdom and transformation real spiritual. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt the power of not reacting? What passed when you chose conscious silence? Remember always, you don't need to prove your peace, just live it. See you in the next video. A hug light.